Alright, just sit back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device.
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Get On With It Sports Show. It is Wednesday, April the 12th, 2023. Jersey Johnny coming at you with me, as always, is none other than Mr. Harry Lug Nutz in a different format today because we are waiting for Mr. Pete.
Waiting for Pete.
Oh, look at that. Now here he is.
For Pete.
All right, so we'll go back to the regular one now.
You could do three in that format, can't you?
We'll see. Let's see.
There you go.
Yeah, but then we don't see the cute background, though.
Oh, okay. We're going to see less of
each other?
Less of our surroundings.
Yeah, but we love Pete's surroundings, though.
Do we? It's a black hole.
That's why we love that. That's why we love them. So, anyway, how are you fine gentlemen on this evening?
Just loving it. Loving it.
There you go. You still don't care about baseball till August. Pete's ready for the NBA playoffs, and baseball have been very, very good to me.
Yeah, well, the playoffs have started. And I guess we're starting with baseball because we got a baseball diamond up. Is that how this works?
Yeah, just a couple of things I did want to mention. You and I were talking about. That's why I threw that up. We were talking about the fact. Oh, by the way, just because I said baseball have been very, very good to me, got to put up the picture of Chico Escuela. Yeah, got to put that up there. So anyway,
that'll get the youngsters in.
Exactly. So anyway, what we were talking about off before we started the show, Harry, was the Yankees. So let's bring them up. I wore this in honor of you today. So and of course in honor of you. I've been wearing Mets jerseys for the last three shows that we did. But
I mean, it's better than being 4-8. They're 8-4. The Rays are off to a super hot start, so the Yankees have to remain. The Yankees got to continue to win series, which they have. They've won 2 out of 3 in all 4 series so far. So if they keep that up, that'll be a really good year. I think it's exactly what everybody expected so far. The Yankees,
True.
A little bit of a hot start for Gleyber Torres, which is nice to see. The bottom of the lineup is struggling, and they're burning through middle relievers because they don't have the starting pitching due to injuries right now. But look, if they can go 8-4 without Rodon, without Severino, and those guys can come back and contribute as quality starters, Rodon arguably a number 1 or 1A, then I think it bodes well for the Yankees. It's a wins are wins, and they need to keep racking them up. There's a couple wins games that I thought they should have won that they lost. So, we'll take it, keep chipping away, and I'll talk to you in August.
There you go, as you will. Yeah, you're right. No, that was today on specifically speaking of that's why we started the conversation before anybody listening out there was I guess it was the bottom of the first inning today in Cleveland. The umpires just decided to review a play on their own without a challenge flag challenge from the manager. Terry Francona never challenged at all, and they just decided to review it for him. We'll do it for him. There you go.
Is that in their jurisdiction? Obviously, I guess it is.
No, it's not.
So this was something that they just decided to do.
If an umpire says it's an out, because Aaron Hicks, if anybody didn't see it, Aaron Hicks caught the third out, or so everybody thought, but a closer look shows that it literally just dropped right out of the glove for a split second, hit the ground, and came back in. So it was hard to see. It was a hard call to make, but they called him out. And everybody had left the field, and Terry Francona did not challenge it. So there should have been no reason why they gathered and reviewed that. The one umpire that made the call. So the one umpire made the call, end of story. You got it wrong, you got it wrong. It's not like umpires have gotten calls wrong before, right?
So they reviewed it, and what was their assessment?
That it hit the ground, and they a run scored or whatever. But Aaron Boone came out and was screaming at the.
So everybody left the field. The inning was over, and then they reviewed it, and then the Yankees had to go back out on the field.
Yeah, because it was nothing on the bottom of the first. I'm fairly certain that was the inning. Because if that was it, it was nothing the bottom of first after that, and it wound up being 2-0 after that. Right. So they but the run had scored. So had he not caught it, which had they called it safe or not a catch, a run would have scored. So the run scored. The runner went back to second, I believe he was on, and then it was a runner on first for the dropped ball.
So the umpires don't even know the rules of the game. That's how much.
Apparently not. So.
Well, I guess they're not, not being enough of the show.
Right. They want to get involved.
The game should never be about the umpires, and maybe they're feeling a little bit left out.
They're slighted. Yeah, they're slighted.
Exactly. We want you left out. We want you to disappear. You get paid. Go away.
I know they don't like that though.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't like that.
Oh well.
Exactly.
Oh well.
So just the same as the Yankees, like you said, the Mets are, just to throw that over there. The Mets are in second place in the division. They're only a game and a half behind the Braves, but they did win the rubber match today of their 3-game set with the Padres. So
that's good.
2-1 over the Padres. Yeah, they won Monday night, lost last night, won tonight. So yeah, absolutely, good job. That's a good team to beat. Unfortunately, they lost. Got swept by the Brewers last week. But
Brewers
what are
are
you
a good
gonna do?
team. Brewers are, I think, have the best record in the National League.
Brewers are tied. No, Brewers are tied for the best record in the National League with the Braves, and it's only a game. And the Mets are only a game and a half behind that record. Yeah. So Mets are 7-6, and the Brewers and Braves are 8-4.
Brewers are a really good regular season team.
Mm-hmm. Had the I mean, what are you gonna do? Back to the American League for a second, though. Specifically speaking about the Rays, they're 11-0 right now.
2 away from the record.
12-0 now.
What's that?
I think they're 12-0 now.
Did they already win?
It's top of the fifth.
Oh no, that's right. They haven't.
They're playing now. It's the top of the fifth, and they're beating the Red Sox 6-1. Top of the fifth. So, assuming they win tonight, they're 1 game away from tying the record and 2 games away from setting the new record that we just talked about last week on the show. It was one of the trivia questions. So, but
they're off to a good start.
They are.
They're a good team.
Indeed. So,
the American League East is filled with good teams. What a surprise.
6-3 right now. So
it's 6-3 now. It was 6-1.
Boston got 2 in the top of the 5th.
There you go.
And looks like they got a couple of runners on. So
I got you.
When American League East teams play each other, it's kind of hard to root for any of them.
Well, I mean, you as a Yankee fan, I know it's obviously hard for you to do that, but you probably got to root for the Red Sox in this game, right?
Yeah, it would be nice for the Yankees to get within 3. That would be nice. We'll see. The Rays, a couple years ago, the Rays had the Yankees number. I thought the Rays had a down year last year, and I didn't. It's hard to kind of tell, even though they were still a very good team. Everybody thought the Jays were going to be, world beaters, and they still very well may be. And I think the Red Sox are going to be better than what their record indicates right now.
Yeah, they come around. They're playing under their potential. So
yeah, the problem is the American League East plays each other a lot, and there's not a bad team in the American League East.
No. I mean, right now the 3 lowest teams basically really are the Tigers, the Royals, and the A's.
The A's are pretty bad.
The A's are pretty bad. So yeah, but
right now they are.
Mm-hmm.
As we head through the season, they're going to have a little surge and start playing some good baseball. And
I don't know.
I don't think they're going to get into playoff contention. Really, I don't think we're going to be looking at them the same way we were the last couple of years. Going, those pesky Oakland.
Those pesky Oakland A's.
I don't think they're that good this year.
Yeah, they've cleaned house enough over the last several years that they have nobody left but their AAA team basically, right? So give them a few years to build that back up again, then they can start selling them off and go back down against the cycle at Oakland, right? But and the Mariners are 5-8 right now. Not where they should be, based on expectations that all of us, right, all 3 of us expected the Mariners to be better. But same as the Red Sox, they're going to be up. They're going to be up. In fact, I think I picked the Mariners to win the World Series, didn't I?
In August.
Yeah, I think we're spending far too much time talking about the 5-8 Mariners
We've got play in basketball.
Basically every other.
Exactly. All right, so let's change this background a second here.
Well, there's one other thing here.
Go for it.
A couple other things. We were talking about Tampa Bay. If they win, it'll be 12 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
I think what's more exciting, another number 12, is Jordan Walker of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Okay.
Passing Ted Williams and now getting a hit in each of his first 12 consecutive games.
Congratulations, Jordan Walker.
Yeah.
Congratulations,
that doesn't mean anything. Now, the only... Look, it's exciting, and who knows? Maybe he'll be a world beater. Maybe he won't. But still, he's the new guy, and he beats... well, no, actually, he joins Eddie Murphy, who, as well as being a comedian of some sorts,
Eddie Murray.
Murphy. Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy. Yeah, Eddie Murphy.
Also played for the 1912 Philadelphia Athletics, and he's the only other guy to get those 12 to get a hit in 12 consecutive games before their 21st birthday. So there we go.
There you go.
So Walker tied with Eddie Murphy and having just passed the Splendid Splinter. So we should acknowledge that.
Let's acknowledge it. Congratulations, Jordan. Congratulations, Jordan.
Jordan Walker. Yeah,
Jordan Walker. We got it. All right.
Oh,
cool.
Now I got two other questions for you.
Go for it.
Number one.
The
baseball pitch clock seems to be here to stay. Some talk about whether it's going to be used during the playoffs, whether they'll change the rules, et cetera, et cetera. I hope they don't. My question is, how long before the pitch clock, like everything else in the world, gets a sponsor? And who will that sponsor be? Will it be somebody like Timex or Rolex?
Right.
Or will it be like Jimmy John's?
Oh no, it
definitely won't be Timex or Rolex. It will be. It might be Old Spice, but I would guess it'd be some sort of financial or some sort of pharmaceutical drug that we don't know about.
Right.
So
right.
Will it?
Alembic.
Will it have a sponsor by the All-Star break?
I think not only will it have a sponsor, but every 5 seconds will be a different sponsor. So a 20-second pitch clock will have 4 sponsors if it gets all the way down.
Where would you see the sponsor? Just right underneath it.
It'll pop up under it. Boom. You know?
Yeah.
And they'll mandate that once they have their sponsorship in there, it has to appear on the TV feed in the bottom corner. Right, so they can see the actual.
That's right. They'll have to be like the logo, and you may have the announcers going. If the batter doesn't step in and get ready for the pitch by the time the Jimmy John's logo shows up, that's going to be a violation.
Exactly. By the time the Jimmy John's pitch clock shows up,
which
now we go to the Jimmy John's pitch clock. There we go.
Jimmy John's in itself is kind of a violation of all things that are good and decent, but
only
all right.
Only if they get what's his name. That's the actor in the
Brad Garrett. Yeah,
Brad Garrett. If they get him, exactly.
Yeah, maybe they'll
sounds miserable anyway you slice it.
Maybe they'll have a little video of Brad Garrett popping up and going, "That's a strike."
Yeah, that's disgusting.
All right, second question.
Go for it.
Who will have more home runs at the end of the regular season? Judge and Stanton or Trout and Ohtani? Little East Coast, West Coast here.
Can I say Judge and Ohtani?
Nope.
Because that would be the pair.
Yeah,
right?
that would be the chalk.
Right.
So which of those two pairs do you think they have more home runs?
Well, you go first, Harry. You're the resident Yankee fan. So
Stanton builds them up. They never fucking count for shit, but he builds them up. Judge is already up to a pretty decent start. What is he at 4? I think already, which isn't too bad. I don't know. What does Trout have? 2 or 3?
No,
I think Ohtani's only got 2, right? 3, maybe they both have 3.
Look right now.
I think it'll be Trout.
Trout has 3 right now.
Okay.
Ohtani has. Ohtani has 3 as well, and Judge
has 4. Judge has 4.
Judge has 4.
That's not a suggestion. That's a fact.
You knew it. And what about Giancarlo?
30.
So the Yankees tandem leads 7-6 at this point.
Yeah.
7-6.
I think Stanton's due to have a year where he tails off a little bit. I think Ohtani and Trout, but I don't really care about home runs. So, but if I had to pick, I think Trout's going to have a bounce back year. Ohtani will be about as consistent as he was last year. I think Judge will obviously not make what he did last year, but he'll probably hit 50 home runs. And I think Stanton's going to be in the low 30s. So I don't, maybe the high 20s. I think Trout's going to have a pretty big year home run wise. So I'm going to give it to the
California
Angels.
Contingent. All right.
Yeah. Gotcha. Well, I want to throw this out there to you. So now the Yankees, so Judge and Stanton have 7. Ohtani and Trout have 6.
Yes.
Alonso and Lindor have 8.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Lindor hit one again today, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Alonso has 6 and Lindor has 2.
Right. Yeah. So, but there you go. Anyway, so I think so, I'm actually what was your
I'm gonna say Trout and Ohtani.
Yeah, I am as well. We're
all in agreement.
I am as well. Yeah.
I'll hang on to that and we'll see what happens.
There you go.
I just hope that the Yankees win the last game of the season. That's all I care about.
The last game they play or the last game of the season?
The last game of the season, which means that you know.
I know what you meant. I know what you mean. Well, yeah, the last game they play, they could win it and still not win the World Series, right?
The last game of the season, not their season.
I know.
Yes.
Just joshing. All right, cool. All right, let's move on to a quickie little football segment. Just want to mention that we will be doing our annual draft show 2 weeks from tonight. Our picks.
I guess to learn about college football players.
We have an annual draft show.
I actually watch more college football. I watch a lot of college football normally during the season, but I actually watch more college football this year than I have in years. I watched a lot.
3 games.
So, what's that?
I watched 3 games.
No, I 4. I watched 4 games.
All right.
Yeah, I usually watch 2. No. But no, I've been on it. I got my ideas. I got my mocks. So we'll do that. We'll do that a couple weeks from tonight. We might. I'm not teasing anything. We might have another guest on the show doing the draft show. But it's or at least come on for a segment. But we'll go from there. But that's 2 weeks from tonight. And just want to mention one quick Giants note. Saquon Barkley still has not signed his franchise tender because he does not like the amount. And he wants a higher salary, and the Giants are not going to do that. So now that doesn't mean anything, right? He could still go. He can get another team, but the Giants have the ability to, match that obviously with the franchise tender, but non-tendered franchise tag. But the the fact of the matter is, it's a shame, and I only bring this up because I want your opinion on it real quick. It's kind of a shame. I was actually reading something. And I had a conversation the other day about this with somebody. It's almost a shame what's going on with running backs in general, because the bulk of their best years are under a rookie contract. I mean, if the average running back lasts 8 years, that means he's got 2 or 3 years.
Right. Well, you know what, Saquon, we'll renegotiate with you if you give back the money for the games you missed.
I think insurance handles that, but that's a good idea. I like that idea. But I mean, it doesn't mean anything. It's not like he's going anywhere. But it's just it just brings up an interesting dilemma that gone are the days of Emmitt Smith. Or
right.
Or Barry Sanders, or the running backs where
even Derrick Henry of 3 years ago,
right?
Honor those days, yeah.
Right. So it's just running back by committee. I mean, what are you going to do? So something to think about. We can talk about it, further on, closer to football season and all. But I just thought that was interesting when I read that.
I saw that today too. I think there's 2 things that are going to either happen. Maybe, just maybe, they'll come to an agreement on an extension. Or maybe the Giants are trying to force his hand.
They could very well possibly be. Yeah, that is true.
And if they lose him and open up that space, then I'm not going to cry. Look, I like Saquon Barkley. I don't think he's a game changer, and I don't think a Giants team with Saquon Barkley as a regular season stats machine who gets bottled up in the playoffs is necessarily worth a long-term extension. I just don't think he is. So that's my 2 cents. Of course, they've also given an extension to a quarterback that I didn't think was worth an extension.
This
but
is true.
There's very few of them to be had, and of course, he had a good year when it mattered. Imagine that. Imagine it's funny how these players always seem to have better years when their future millions of dollars are on the line. We'll see what happens. I'd rather see the Giants go get some receivers than re-sign Saquon Barkley.
Right. Very true. And on that note, just another quick note. Oh, sorry, Pete, do you have any input on the?
I was just going to say, I don't know why we're talking about Saquon Barkley when the biggest news of the week is that the New York Football Jets have signed an ex-Packer. Yes.
Yes, they have.
Woo!
They did.
They re-signed Brett Favre.
An ex-Packer quarterback.
Yep.
Now, I don't want to say who, but I think you can figure it out. And if you're going to guess Tim Boyle, then you'll be right.
Exactly. It's Tim Boyle. Jets have signed Tim Boyle. So right now on the depth chart, he's number 1.
Yeah.
Because
I don't want to get into this too much, but the Jets are a fucking joke. They are an absolute joke. And if they don't win a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to assume that they're going to sign him.
Assuming that he gets signed.
Assuming that if they don't win the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers, that might be it for me. I might be looking for a new team. I might be looking for a new team to root for.
Got to give him credit for not signing OBJ. I give him credit there. Props. Maybe they can get DeAndre Hopkins.
The only things they do well are by omission. The Jets are a joke. They're the worst franchise in the NFL. And I don't mean the team on the field. I mean, this is ridiculous what they are doing. And
Aaron Rodgers sort of has ruined it for him. He played his hand too much, and now the Packers are asking, it's just going to be a negotiation. And I think the draft is going to happen, and then we're going to see.
The draft can't happen though, because the Packers obviously, they need to get. Here's the thing: they need to get this done. I said this a couple weeks ago. They need to get this done before the draft because they want the draft. They want the Jets draft capital that they're going to get from this year for this year's draft. Yeah. Assuming Aaron Rodgers assuming that they do work it out, if it happens after the draft capital they're going to get from the Jets is next year. And assuming that Aaron Rodgers is obviously starting and performing well, the draft capital the Jets have next year is going to be far worse than the draft capital they have this year. So,
according to numerous reports, the Packers want a second rounder this year and a first rounder next year.
So give it to them.
What is the problem?
You're getting Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up and give it to them.
That seems like a steal. It seems like an absolute steal.
What are you holding out for?
A second. I mean, I could understand it maybe if it was flipped, but the Jets don't really have, right? Where are they picking this year?
They had a 17th.
Yeah.
Or 13th.
So
they're in the middle 10.
Right.
But,
so they want an early second rounder from the Jets and a first rounder next year. Go for it. Done.
Yeah. Done.
Well, yeah. Whatever the Jets are going to get with their picks this year is not worth the difference between what they're holding out for.
No. And they have an extra second round pick because of Elijah Moore. They have an extra second round pick in that trade. So and they're consecutive picks too. One's only one better than the other. So no matter which one they give them to them, unless the Packers are going to pick the same player in the second round that the Jets would have, what's the difference? Give them either. But you're absolutely right, 100%. If that's all the Packers want, give it to them. I guarantee you, and this is just my thought, I guarantee you that they would do that, but they're holding out to get some money from the Packers for Aaron Rodgers' salary.
One more guarantee, and you beat the Cajun cook.
Right.
So they've
guarantee
done all
you.
this. They brought in personnel, right? They're changing what they're doing, but they're going to hold out for a little bit more money and delay the getting of the whole goal of this is to bring Rodgers here. It's a fucking joke.
All right. Do you remember a couple of seasons ago when the Jets could have had the first pick and they actually won the game? Right. At the end of the season, right? Yeah. So they had the second pick in the draft, obviously, when they could have gotten Trevor Lawrence, but they wound up with Zach Wilson a couple of years ago. And right away, I said on the next podcast, I said the Jets jetted the jettiest thing ever. Put a pin in that. If they lose out on Aaron Rodgers when they could have had him for what supposedly this is, what? This is the Jets jetting the jettiest thing ever.
I mean, honestly, if there's someone else out there who really wants Aaron Rodgers, there's no reason they couldn't swoop in at the last moment when the Packers are completely fed up with the Jets and go, we'll give you exactly what you want. Send them here. And if they're at all a reasonable contender, Aaron Rodgers might just go, yeah, okay. And we'll figure out how to get Lazard over there, and they can sign what's his name?
Randall Cobb.
Yeah, Randall Cobb. And hell, Tim Boyle, it's only a 1-year deal, so he'll be done with the Jets, and he can go join them in wherever they go.
Right.
Who knows? Miami, let's say. If
there's nobody else.
Tua's a headshot away from retiring. It doesn't seem that way. It doesn't seem that way, but we are talking about the Jets. And somebody else could just go, if they can't get it done, let's get it done. So, whatever. They're just the fucking worst.
It's ridiculous. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
Now I don't think in the Jets offices they're going, did you hear what Pete said on the podcast? He might not be a fan anymore. Give the Packers what they need. We need to get this done. I don't think that's going to be happening.
It might. You never know. If somebody listens, it might be fans. That those three people that listen. It might be the executives of the Packers and the Jets. Yeah, they might be sneaking in here. Yeah. Look, I hope he does go to the Jets. I think it would make for a couple really interesting seasons for the Jets.
You would. I agree. Anyway. All right. Well,
the only other thing, now OBJ went to the Ravens, right?
OBJ went to the Ravens. And it was
$15
million guaranteed and with incentives up to $18 million. Now, here's what happened. He was supposed to meet with the Jets on Monday. Now, my sources tell me, no, I'm kidding. I got a feeling he got an ultimatum from the Ravens with that amount of money on Sunday. He called the Jets. He did call the Jets and asked them to match it. He hadn't even met with them yet, but he asked them to match it, and they said no. So he said, all right, I'm out because he wants the money, right? So why, So
now, is that Baltimore's? Come on, we're not gonna. Come on, Mr. Jackson. We're not going to give you the money, but we'll
give you OBJ. We'll give you OBJ.
Yeah, we're not going to quite give you the $200 million guaranteed, but we got you OBJ. So now you can win.
It's kind of like
take the sting out of not getting that contract you want.
Right.
It's kind of like getting an alarm clock when you open a bank account.
Right.
It's. I was going to open up a bank account there anyway, so I may as well get an alarm clock.
Well, you know what? I know. A friend of mine actually went and opened a bank account, and he actually got a touch. He actually got a touch tone wall plug-in phone. Of course, it was in the back of the bank for like 30 years, and they gave it to me.
Right.
That's besides the point.
Well, but still, listen. That's like either you like it and you go, "Oh, this is cool." I'll put it in the den. And it'll be nostalgic. We'll laugh.
Nostalgic, right? Exactly.
Or you've got one less Christmas present to buy. For the cousins that you only see once a year,
and you know what? To be quite
that's OBJ. It's a little bit of nostalgic and
Christmas present.
You hope he's around at Christmas time.
Exactly. Gotta love it. All right, cool. I think that should wrap up football. I think that's good. Let's switch it over to a little b-ball
to the number one topic.
To the number one topic today, the play-in games. Let's talk it out. You know what? We were all thinking that once Durant and Kyrie Irving left, that the Nets were dead in the water, and that was it. They were
I didn't.
No, you didn't. But when I say we, I don't mean the three of us. I mean the population of the basketball universe. And Pete did. Obviously.
So listen, I wouldn't say dead in the water. I would say treading water.
All right.
They're not going anywhere. Eventually they'll drown, but they're not dead yet.
They're probably right to lose in the first round.
But I'm
This is true.
listen, I'm rooting for them. Hopefully they'll listen. Maybe they could win a game or two and keep it spicy, keep people talking.
Exactly. Agreed. Whatchamacallit? I think they're going to win more than a game. I don't think they're getting out of the first round. But it's interesting. Let's pull this up.
I think they'll win one.
A lot of people predicted the Knicks to beat the Cavs. I don't see it happening unless the Knicks are able to all play at their peak performance. I think this is a statement year for Donovan Mitchell, and we'll see. I think it'll be a good series. I think it'll go 6 or 7.
Yeah, it looks like a really tough matchup for the Knicks. Like you kind of look at the board and you go, well, who's going to be scratching and clawing for 6 or 7 games? And I think it's the Knicks and the Cavs.
I think the Knicks can win this series. I do. I think they can.
I stayed awake to watch the Lakers and the Timberwolves, and let me tell you something, man. The Timberwolves just are a team that just are imploding minute by minute by minute. The Lakers did not really win that game.
Yeah, the Timberwolves lost that game.
Yeah, and Anthony Davis, I thought LeBron James was going to take him in between the end of the fourth quarter and overtime and shoot him between the eyes. There is no between his eyes because his eyebrow doesn't separate. But I mean, just I don't know. I thought the Lakers would win that game handily. They wound up winning. It was a little bit of I think more Minnesota's fallen apart. And look, Atlanta stars win you clutch games, and Trae Young came up big. Jimmy Butler and the Heat looked a little lethargic. Who do you got winning tonight? Toronto, Chicago already underway, and New Orleans and OKC. Toronto at home and the Pelicans at home.
Yeah, I'm me. Pelicans are winning, and Chicago's winning.
I like just the opposite. I think the Raptors at home. I like them, and I think tonight is the night where the nation learns who Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is, and I think OKC wins that game tonight.
So we'll see.
Yeah, listen, it's hard to bet against Jimmy Butler.
Right,
he has a way of willing teams and getting things done. But I don't know. Toronto. I think they've got their. I don't know what the score is. I think they've got their number. I think they've got their number tonight. I'd love to see the Pelicans win. I want to see the Pelicans go someplace.
I think next year when Zion loses 40 pounds, I think they will.
So who are you picking there, Pete, tonight? Those two games.
So I think Toronto, and I'm going to take New Orleans. Why not?
So
all three of us have different picks.
Yeah, I'm Chicago, New Orleans. You're OKC, Toronto, Harry, and Pete. You're New Orleans, Toronto. There you go.
Yeah,
fair enough.
We shall see. Playoffs start on Saturday, right? The actual series start on Saturday.
Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah, the Timberwolves. Michael Wilbon the other day, I think it was yesterday or the day before, or maybe today and yesterday. It was 2 days in a row. He said they major in stupid.
Yeah.
And they talked about it on PTI, and I sort of echoed it on this show. They're all young. They're kids. There's no veteran presence to teach them how to be NBAers and to drop wisdom on them. And you see it happening. You see the stuff with Morant. You see there's a Gobert who they traded away the entire future for, punching his teammate during the game and then having to sit out the play-in. And somebody else broke their hand. I forget his name. On the Wolves, it broke a hand punching the wall. I guess after the loss to the Lakers. I'll say this about the Lakers, though. The Lakers, as constituted, if they're healthy, very dangerous. And I wouldn't count them out. And despite the friction you might have seen there between LeBron and AD, they're two of the best players in the game still. And I wouldn't. I wouldn't bet against the Lakers, but
you're going to get a plus 22 performance from Dennis Schroeder night in and night out. Come on, they're not deep enough. They're not deep enough.
That's what I'm saying. They all need to stay healthy, and guys are going to have to play a lot of minutes, but they're dangerous. Yeah. And they got nothing to, right? Weren't we talking about them a few weeks ago, saying, oh, they got to win like 16 out of their last 20 games to get out of the playoff, and I think they won 18, and they still had to do, or the play-in, I should say. They're still in the play-in.
Mhm.
So, chips on shoulders and all that stuff. AD's a great talent. Again, fragile, but a great talent. And LeBron, I'm in the LeBron camp as greatest of all time. We don't have to get into that right now. But you put those two guys together, that says a lot.
Yep.
LeBron James, when he was on the court last night, was minus 14. It's the Lakers bench of Hachimura, Gabriel Brown, Schroeder, and, Beasley didn't contribute much. That's who won the game for them. I don't see that happening game in and game out. But we shall see. Onward and
It doesn't have
upward.
to happen every game, though.
Yeah.
It's true. 4 out of 7, right?
4 out of 7.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
You just need to win 4 or 7 games. That's it. So, looking at this, I'd seen this. I thought about it coming down the stretch, so to speak. But if the Knicks are in the 5th seed in the East, if they were in the West with the same record, they'd be the 4th seed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So I'm getting somewhere with this. I'm leaning. I don't know about you guys, but I'm leaning East this year, unless it's the Nuggets, and that's only because of homage to Harry's second team, which I think has become his first team, but that's besides the point.
Well, yeah, because they're way more likable. Knicks are so unlikable. Julius Randle, what a fucking douche.
No, don't hold back. Tell us how you really feel about the man.
I do, just did.
I don't know. I mean, that's kind of the Knicks' MO. That team's never been full of particularly likable guys.
Right.
God.
I mean, they've had a few, but there's been a...
I disagree with you. Latrell Sprewell, salt of the earth.
Oh, yeah, that guy's great.
I liked him when he played for the Knicks, yeah.
No, well, of course, but anyway.
Listen, let's say this about the Knicks, right? What they did in the offseason, blah, blah, blah. The Mavericks are rapidly turning into they're kind of the joke of the NBA right now.
Right.
Look, the Knicks got Brunson, right? And they've done things. Is he the answer? No, but big step in the right direction, right?
Yeah.
Well, the rumor is Luka's looking towards the Knicks. That's the rumor.
Well, listen, let's talk about the Mavs a little bit.
They tanked.
Well, not only did they tank, if you want to go back to
They
the
really
7th,
tanked, yeah.
Friday night the 7th, when they didn't even start, their starters were not even in, basically, for the entire second half. So 2 questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, does the NBA have to do something about this? Because there's tanking, and then there's the blatant tanking that the Mavericks did. And then Mark Cuban laughing about it after the game and all that. So does the NBA have to step in and figure some way to stop this, at least?
No, because they just would have started the guys for 10 minutes, sat them, and told everybody, if you win this game, I will kill you.
Right.
Well, they were up.
They can do that.
12 or 13, I think, at one point.
They had a chance to make the playoffs, and they decided that they didn't want to.
Well, here's the thing, and I heard somebody on the fan. I heard somebody talking about this. I think it was Evan Roberts actually saying he asked a question of whoever he was talking to. He says, "Let me ask you a question." He says, He wanted to ask a question. He said, "If you're Mark Cuban and you're the Dallas Mavericks, and you can make the playing game, and maybe you win a playing game, maybe you don't. I mean, where they would have landed, obviously, they would have had to win 2 playing games in order to, no, 1 playing game, but you know what I'm saying? 2 playing games. They would have had to make 2, just to get in to the first round, and that's two games, and then on.
Yeah, they had to win 2 games. 2 games.
Right.
With Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic and all that they've invested in both of them.
Right.
They had to win 2 games.
But to get in, and then if they win the 2 games, they're the 8th seed, right? So now they got to go up against the Nuggets. The likelihood of them actually winning the championship was wherever it was, right? What's better to him? Now, he's not condoning what they did, but what's better to him? A really hard climb.
Who's not condoning what they did?
The Evan Roberts on the WFAN.
Oh,
he wasn't condoning what the Mavericks did.
So he's saying what's better? winning 2 and then getting blown out by
getting a
the
top
Nuggets.
10 pick or getting blown out by the Nuggets or not even making the playoffs and losing one, playing one, winning the chance to go to one game in the playoffs, that kind of.
Yeah, I understand his point, and that's obviously what they were thinking. But if you extend
It
that
saved
logic,
them dollars. That's why they did it. It saved them a draft pick and major amounts of dollars. That's why they did it.
But if you extend that logic, why would they ever want to be good?
Right. Why would they go and get Kyrie?
Why not just tank for 4 years and get 4 great draft picks and then bring in a couple free agents and make a run?
Well, that's the problem. That's the issue, right? Yeah, that's the issue.
I mean, you traded for Kyrie, right? Love him or hate him, whatever. He's a talent. He's great on the floor, and everything else he's terrible.
Right.
But you telling me you did what you did to bring in Kyrie so you could fucking tank? Take a shot.
I think it tells you everything about. I think it tells you what they think about the summary of what they have right now.
Yeah. Well, look, I think obviously Kyrie Irving, and I'm starting to think maybe Luka Doncic. They might both be poison because Doncic never seems happy.
They're not poison. They're just only play. Number one of them only plays when he wants to. And number 2, they both only play on one end of the court. They are both horrible defensive players. Horrible.
So neither one is a guy. I mean, you can't win with just offense. We've seen that.
But Dallas, how far did you go last year? They can win. Doncic's a talent that can take you to the NBA Finals. He is.
Here's my other question. Should Jason Kidd, in light of what's going on there, just resign? I know he won't, but I mean, does anybody?
He's an overrated player. He's an overrated coach. He's
definitely an overrated coach. Does anybody have any ethics anymore?
No,
or is he on board? Is he on board with the tanking?
Well, it depends. Here's the thing, though.
I find that hard to believe. Not that I know Jason Kidd personally, but what I know of him, I find it hard to believe that he was told, you're not starting anybody who's a regular starter in the second half. You're going to blow this game, and we're up by 14 or 15, and you got to make sure you lose this last goddamn game. I mean, how do you get up and look at yourself in the mirror and keep your job after that? I mean, you do what you're told, and then you go, thanks, I'm out. Easy for me to say. I'm not an NBA coach, but I mean, if he doesn't leave, to me, it says something about his character that's.
I hear you.
That's bad.
I hear you. No, it's look.
And I love Jason Kidd. Obviously, I love Jason.
Obviously,
Kidd.
Yeah, no, of course. But you know what? I mean, it's all bad. It shouldn't happen. But because look, this wasn't the first time a team tanked, right? This wasn't the first time a team said, "Hey, let's tank."
No, but this was the most obvious,
so egregious,
blatant,
so egregious, yeah. So,
grubby grab tanking.
And they didn't even try to deny it. They didn't even try to deny it.
No,
right,
Cuban was laughing after the game.
He was laughing after the game, right? But that being said, all right, obvious or not, that being said, if they do, like you said, to your point, Pete, if they do it again next year and do it again the year after that, and then get all these, Doncic's leaving, they don't even care about Kyrie Irving, and so
forth. They almost have to re-sign Kyrie,
right?
Unless you're going to blow the whole thing up. If you want to have any legitimacy, you have to try and bring him back.
Sure, of course. But that being said, if they're going to do this year after year to do what you said, that's fine. But if they did it because, and again, I'm not condoning it because it sucks. But if they did it because they were where they were in the standings, all right, and it was just they were trying or whatever. Okay, they were where they were in the standings. They made the wrong decision to do what they did, but it was specifically this year only because they were in the standings. And next year, if they play and they're it's like if they're floating with the 5th or the 6th seed, they're not going to tank to get the hell out of it. They're in the playoffs,
Right.
That's one thing. Doing it year after year after year to blow it up, that's another. So that's all I'm saying.
Right, but my point is they had a couple of chances to at least get into the play-in.
Right.
Whether they would and given the issues they have, and I think what did Kyrie and Luka together win 6 games or 8 out of the ones that all the ones they played? It wasn't that many, right?
No money at all, no.
But so even if you just win the first play-in game and then you lose the second, there's at least some level of respectability there. Something that you can go, okay, well, we're going to keep building, and then you figure out what to do. But to have those 2 opportunities and to just go, nope, just to step back, I mean, that's just fucking terrible.
Yeah.
It's really terrible.
Yep.
And if the NBA had a commissioner who was more than a corpse, then he would do something about it. But I don't think he will.
He's not doing anything about it.
Not seeing Kyrie make the playoffs is just beautiful. Just beautiful.
So they both leave the Nets. Kyrie doesn't make the playoffs and the Nets do. Kevin Durant makes the playoffs, and he's a 4 seed, obviously, but same exact record as the Nets had, that the Suns have. So it's just funny, that's all.
Well, I mean, the Nets record was really front-loaded. The Suns record was really back-loaded.
Right.
So, I mean, it's in the West, it's really, there's so much change that went on at the end of the season that it's, I mean, most people, I mean, the hard-ons that the so-called experts at ESPN have for the Suns are just, incredible. So most people are picking the Suns to win the West by a long, and it's not even close. So we'll see. We shall see.
It's not even close, but I think they're gonna.
Everybody's picking the Suns. Everybody's picking the Suns.
All right, let's talk MVP. Who's going to be the MVP?
Who cares? Give it to Embiid so he shuts the fuck up. I think Shea
obviously you'd like it to be Joker.
I think SGA deserves it. Or
well, you know what? Though I'll tell you what. I know it's the regular season, right? But if just saying it, if the Thunder win, a couple of games and get into the regular playoffs, obviously Saturday they'll be up against the Nuggets. If they make a little, if they give Denver a hard time, I don't think they're going to beat Denver, but if they give Denver a hard time, OKC. If they get in, I'm saying, and it's on him. I say, yeah, you're probably marking down, but they're not giving a damn. They're not going to give it. They're not going to. They're not going to. They're not
going to give it to a 10th place team.
They're not going to give it to a 10th place team. They're not going to give it to somebody over Embiid after all of his.
Well,
shit.
But now here's the thing: are they going to?
Somebody on a 10th place team over Embiid is what I'm saying.
Right? No, but it's a regular season award.
It's a regular season award.
Yeah. So
Embiid's going to get it because
they don't want to give it to Giannis again.
The people who vote don't want Embiid to get it. Who cares?
He probably will.
Who cares? Michael Jordan should have had 12 MVPs. Magic Johnson should have had 8. It's just they don't like giving it to the same person. So who cares?
Should Joker get it again?
If my vote would go to Jokic, it would be close. I don't think Embiid would be my top choice. I think either Giannis or SGA would be second, and I think Embiid would be third. I think what people are forgetting in the Sixers season is that James Harden has played an entire year, has shut his mouth, changed his game completely, and led the league in assists.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And playing with somebody like James Harden is a little different than playing with Michael Porter Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit. Wasn't Harden also, when he first came to the Nets, that first however much of a season it was, I think he was leading the league in assists that year too.
Right. It's the second time he's done it. He's the only person in NBA history who's led the league in scoring 3 times and assists twice.
And right now, at this point, this was his 14th season, James Harden. He's never missed the playoffs.
Right.
He's been to the playoffs every year of his entire career.
And
of course he would have missed the playoffs had he not gotten to go to the Nets that year. But
look, Harden's an interesting player. He falls into the category of having played in recent history. He falls under the same banner as Russell Westbrook and a couple other players who, had this been 1985, his stats probably would have been a little different. Having said that, I think Harden's the kind of player that could have played in that era and been a facilitator like he is. And I like Harden. He's still a good clutch shooter. And look, it's a lot easier to slack off Jokic when he's throwing it out to Jeff Green and Michael Porter Jr. than it is when you got Maxey and Harden. So, and everybody's like, "Oh, Jokic's scoring is down." Well, his scoring is down because he's got 10 assists a game as a center because two of his top players on that team are back, and he's distributing the ball more. So, I think the Sixers had a better winning percentage without Embiid than they did with Embiid. Now, of course, the number of games is far less. The Nuggets without Jokic it's a joke.
I know.
It's a joke. Now, having said that, I think Embiid will probably have a more dominant playoffs, at least in the first 2 rounds, because I think the matchups will benefit him.
Gotcha.
And I think that he's got some other players on that team that can help them win come playoff time. So, look, I have taken nothing away from Joel Embiid. I think he's a great player. But we can't forget about somebody like Giannis, the Bucks have the best record in basketball.
Right.
And then if you look at people who are really important to their team and the seasons that they've had, I think SGA has to be he's got to be first team All NBA, and he's got to be in the conversation. So maybe it's not Jokic. I don't really care. It's a really hard thing this year, I think, to quantify because I don't think anybody's really run away with it. Mm-hmm. But Embiid is having a career year. Does that mean that he's had a better year than Giannis? No. One-on-one against Giannis has dominated Embiid and the Sixers. There you go. So, but it doesn't matter because the press wants Embiid to get it, and so that's who will get it.
There you go. All right,
and it's a nice story. Good for him.
Yeah, I'm saying amongst the 3 of them, it's the best story if he wins it. So that's true.
And there you go. All right. You had something else, Pete? You sound like you had 2 things.
Well, yeah, I have an NBA. Are they for real?
Oh.
And I also have a quick question about college basketball for you.
So let's do the Are They For Real? Let's. Are we're good with that? Yeah, we talked about that. More on this, obviously, in a couple of weeks. We'll talk a little bit about the playoffs and the state that they're in at that point, right after we do, most of the draft show. But
once we know who's actually playing who in all of the matchups.
Exactly.
Well, we'll know that in a couple of days.
We'll know that in a couple of days, and we'll get back to it. So, all right. So let's do a little Are They For Real?
What is real?
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
Pretty sure none of that's real.
You're not real.
For real, for real, for real. Yeah.
Are you for real? For real? For real? For real?
Are they for real?
Right.
What is real?
Little NBA, are they for real? So we're going to talk about the play-in teams here. And we'll just go down very quickly. Now, I'm giving the T-Wolves and the Heat, they're a little bit more behind the 8 ball because they've already lost one. But we'll start with those 2 teams. Timberwolves and the Heat. Either one of those teams for real, as in... I know we have to define what is for real. They'll win at least 2 games in their respective series. Should they move on?
Should they move on?
Or how about, let's start with that. Will they move on?
Will the Heat and the Timberwolves move on? Yeah. The Heat will.
The T-Wolves will beat the Pelicans or the Thunder.
The Heat will move on more than the Timberwolves will move on, but I think the Timberwolves will do it. I think they will. I think they'll beat either the Pelicans or the Thunder. So,
all right, John says they're both for real. Harry,
I think the Timberwolves probably won't move on. I think the Heat, it's 40-60. I don't think they'll move on. Neither of them are for real. I think Toronto or Chicago can beat Miami. I think in the West it's a little bit more interesting, but I just think that there's something about this T-Wolves team and where they're at that they're not going to win.
I don't think either one of them is for real. I don't think either one of them goes on.
I don't think they do anything when they go forward, but I'm just thinking
I think the reign of this Heat team is over. I think there's something wrong here, and maybe it's time for maybe Jimmy Butler doesn't have as much in the tank as he used to, and maybe the 27 years in a row that Spoelstra and Riley have been dialing things up, maybe their time has just come.
All right, two others really quickly. Lakers. They won the play-in. They're playing against the Grizzlies.
Mm-hmm.
Are the Lakers for real? Can they beat the Grizzlies? Let's say.
Can they?
Will they beat the Grizzlies? Will they beat the Grizzlies? They're not for real unless they win.
I don't think they will.
No,
but I think it'll go 7. If is the first round 7 or 5?
I think it's 7, right?
It's 7. No, they're all 7. Yeah,
they're all 7. Yeah. So you guys say no.
They're both. Yeah, the Lakers will not beat the. Will not beat.
All right. I'm gonna take the Lakers. I think they're for real.
All right.
I like Memphis, but I think the Lakers win. The other one is the Knicks, and I'm only saying the Knicks because the Cavs were 4 games better in the regular season. So I don't know who's I think the Knicks are the official underdog, right?
They are, but the Knicks are a slightly hotter team coming into the playoffs, and a lot of people are picking the Knicks as a sort of minor upset in the first round.
So are you saying the Knicks are for real?
I think the Knicks are for real. I don't think they win this series. I think the Cavs beat them.
I think the Knicks are for real. It goes 7 games, and they do win the series. I don't know where they go from there, but they do win the series.
I agree with John. I think they're gonna win. I think the Cavs are.
The kids are really, really playing better basketball than we all thought they would have been playing right now.
They're peaking at the right time. The Cavs are a good team too. I don't. Sometimes you have to lose before you can win. That might be the case with them. Sure. All right, that's it. That's it for Are They For Real?
All right.
So Timberwolves and Heat, no. Lakers, 1 yes from me, and Knicks, a yes from me and John.
There you go.
There we go.
And there you go. Are they for real? Awesome. Cool.
All right. Last thing for basketball, unless you have any other NBA. I have just a quick college question.
No NBA. That's it.
Okay. So we, I know it's been over for a while now. We talked about the Final Four and blah, blah, blah. Given the way the rest of the tournament went, right, with, UConn being a blue blood, but all the number ones out and this and that, was the Final Four and the championship game a disappointment when compared to the rest of the tournament? Because one of the semi games was a real blowout. The other was an incredible last-second buzzer beater.
Mm-hmm. But
then San Diego State went on to get blown out, and of course UConn, who you guys picked losing our last Are They For Real, who was going to get blown out, and you picked Florida Atlantic, which was the right pick.
Mm-hmm.
I picked Miami, which was the wrong pick. They did not get blown out. But between those 2 semis and the final, 2 of those games were not really worth watching.
No, they were kind of boring. They were.
I think this year's Final Four has been just as interesting as the last 4 or 5. I don't think the Final Four has been great in a while. And
it's interesting.
And here's why. And this is where I compare it to the women's side of the game. There's no ability to have a repeat matchup. There's no rivalry. There's no sort of build up because everybody's one and done if they're any good. And the teams that we think are going to be good because they've got some sophomores, juniors, and a couple seniors on them seem to fall apart, like the Gonzagas of the world. So I think we're always going to have that 1 or 2 teams, those blue bloods, maybe not at the top, but maybe peaking at the right time, like a UConn. And you're always going to have that 1 or 2 surprises. Were they big surprises? Not necessarily. I mean, Florida Atlantic was. San Diego State was, what, a 4 or 5? So, I thought it was interesting. I think last year's NCAA tournament had some good stories. I'm a little biased because of the early on St. Peter's narrative. I think people at Florida Atlantic probably feel the same way this year. They went even further, and that's a great story. I think This is how schools sort of establish their resume in a lot of ways and become perennial players. So
it has to be that way. That's the only way they're going to do it. But yeah, you're absolutely.
And look, I even though there was a blowout and it wasn't that close, it was kind of nice watching Connecticut. I mean, they played. It's nice sometimes for me when that team that is supposed to win does perform and actually shows up and does what they're supposed to do. Would it have been better if it was a closer game? Sure. But I think most people, including myself, thought, at this point, it's Connecticut's to lose, and they really would have to collapse. I also think that, getting to that point, some of these underdogs really exerted. I mean, you saw the same thing on the women's side. It's just sometimes you get to the final and you got nothing left in the tank. So, I think that was the case.
And I think that was definitely the case with San Diego State.
I said I agree with you. You're right, but no, it was definitely interesting stories. Certainly, very interesting stories. Florida Atlantic and San Diego State and so forth. Getting to the Final Four, there were awesome stories. But if you're in it for the storylines, it wasn't a disappointment. If you're in it for good basketball, a couple of the games won.
Yeah,
but we haven't had good games consistently in previous years.
True. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Just because the Kansas Jayhawks playing doesn't make it any better.
Right. No, but so much of this tournament was exciting, and that was in large part because we all love the underdogs, unless of course you're a big fan of the Blue Bloods. I don't know yet, and only time will tell, if this is sort of a portent of things to come, where we might end up with more of these lower seeded teams, right?
Yep.
Becoming something of a destination, maybe for not the top players in the nation, but really good players. Yeah. Talked about Patino going to St. John's. Yeah. That might keep some of those New York City kids who ended up being in the final. I think in the Elite Eight and the Final Four, there was half a dozen of them. Yeah. Might keep some of them. But anyway, my point is, I don't know if this is the future where we're going to see those upsets getting a little bit farther and continuing to get farther. But as long as there's one of those Blue Bloods still around, they're going to get blown out in the end. Or if this was just a case of a UConn team that was just
peaking
so much better than everybody around them. I mean, they won every game. They won.
I think a lot of the better teams had shitty games in earlier rounds and lost. I think if you were to take some of those teams and give them another chance, they probably. But that's the NCAA tournament. And look, as much as the Florida Atlantic, San Diego State's not a big name, but they were not ranked very low. They had a great record this year. They were not. Right. They didn't come out of nowhere. Florida Atlantic did. So we had one or two teams that kind of came out of nowhere. UConn, I don't think was a huge surprise. Here's what I will tell you: no one knows. Out of all the so-called experts, I listened to PJ Carlesimo and what's his name, Jim Boeheim talk about this and who their predictions were. They didn't even come close. They were as bad as we were, and everybody else with their picks. No one knows. Even people that are on that court every day dealing with these kids, they do not know. The consistency of this tournament is not there because they don't. You're seeing guys who have played hundreds less games at that point in their career than they have previously because they're right out of high school and they don't have the time to necessarily play in big games like this for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Like we saw in the past, like Grant Hill and Christian Laettner and et cetera, et cetera.
Sure. Great.
Yeah. I just worry though that if we don't get some better games, if we don't get good games in the Final Four and in the championship, there have to be some that are close. Then the allure and the wow of there's a number 5 and there's a number 9 and there's a number 4 is going to wear off because we just know they're going to get blown out by that number 2 or 3 or whatever, the one team that's left, and that's gonna hurt the tournament.
Yep. All right. Cool. That works for me. Throw this over here 1 second, just for a quick minute here. Let's discuss the fact that we're heading into hockey playoffs as well. Most of the spots have been taken already. Just the one spot left in the Eastern Conference up for.
Let's go Islanders.
Yep. So can looking at Islanders or Islanders Pittsburgh. We'll see what it is, but Islanders make it. There you go. All three New York City teams are in it, but we'll talk more about that. We won't get into a lot of it now, but obviously as the playoffs proceed, we'll talk a little bit more than like we always do this time of year we'll talk a little bit more about hockey than we normally do. So,
Hey, look,
Yeah,
props
once the
to the
playoffs
Boston Bruins. Most points scored since what, the 1973 Montreal Canadiens?
1973. Yeah.
73.
Yep. 72, early 70s.
Whatever. 19. It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
And they went on. That team went on. Look, typically, I think only twice in the last 20-something years has the team with the most points won the Stanley Cup.
Mm-hmm.
But this Boston team is just knocking. They're just head and tails of everybody else in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
Do they win it all? Yes or no?
They're blowing it away. 133 points. I don't see. You can make an argument to say that there's talent out there that can beat them. I mean, obviously they lost, but they only lost 12 games the whole entire season. So you don't win with points, you win with wins. But it's highly. I think it's highly unlikely. I hope it's likely. I wouldn't mind seeing my Rangers win. But
do you like the field or do you like the Bruins?
I like the Bruins.
Yeah,
I like the Bruins.
They set the record for most wins in a regular season ever.
I think there's something about this team. This team reminds me of those Edmonton teams, the second or third year they were in the finals after they, where they were just dominating with, I think this team has enough defense and offense to win it all. I'm going to go with the Bruins.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. We'll see. We only have 6 months of NHL playoffs.
We have another 3.5 months of NHL playoffs.
Yeah. So they hold the record now for most regular win seasons.
64 is the most regular wins.
Yep.
There you go. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. It's you kind of look at this and you go, who is that team that's going to get hot enough?
Tampa
right
Bay.
there. Yeah.
Toronto. But we've been waiting on Toronto for a long time.
Yeah, right. Toronto's going to be Toronto until they're not Toronto anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So who knows? This Bruins team is good, and I think there's a little bit of pressure on them now to do something, which I think gets the best of a lot of these teams. There's something a little different about this team. We'll see. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see.
Yep.
I think something would have to go very wrong for them to.
You would have to. You would be hard pressed to say that they are not going to win the cup this year. But I mean, you know what? It could happen.
It's hockey.
It's hockey.
That's why very rarely does the favorite win. That's right.
Okay, this is true. So, all right, cool. We have anything else?
Hope not.
No, that's it.
I think we're good, right? All right. Well, on that note, we'll wrap the show up for today. We want to get ready for watching. And for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thank you for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.getonwithitpodcast.com. That's getonwithitpodcast.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for the Get On With It podcast. And of course, all of our shows are available on YouTube as well on the Log Room channel. Remember, we go live with a video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night around 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And for those of you who just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcast, and iHeartRadio as well. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Keep watching baseball. Keep watching basketball playoffs. Obviously, the regular playoffs are starting on Saturday. Hockey is gearing up for the playoffs a little bit beyond that. And, yeah, we'll see you next week, folks. And remember, 2 weeks from tonight, we're doing our NFL draft show. So we'll talk to you then.
So suck it, Mel Kiper.
Exactly.
That's right. What do you know?
Exactly.
Mock draft 37.
All right, folks. Cheers. Good night.
Hi, everybody.